Hey guys, it's Haunted House here, and if everything is going correctly according to plan with editing, this video is coming out at the very end of Chapter 6, Season 1. I wanted to take some time to look back at this chapter and give my perspective on it, not only as somebody who experienced all that it had to offer, but also through the eyes of a brand new player to Fortnite. Sit back, relax, and grab a refreshing glass of shield potion, and let's go ahead and dive in. Before we get started, if you have not already, be sure to subscribe so you're up to date on all of our great videos coming out in the future. Like the video if you liked it, and be sure to give me your thoughts on Chapter 6, Season 1 in the comments below. Let's go ahead and start a great discussion down there, guys. But without further ado, let's begin. I've mentioned this in previous videos, but starting Fortnite was kind of serendipitous for me. It was a big old coincidence because I was somebody who was playing Apex Legends pretty religiously for a long time. You wouldn't be able to tell it by my gameplay, but I played it a lot. But I kind of felt burnt out on the game and it wasn't in a great place, so I was looking for something else to sink my teeth into when I started this channel. I knew I wanted to play something competitive, something multiplayer, and I'm a big fan of the Battle Royale genre, so at first the idea was to go with Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and go ahead and shuffle over to Warzone once that fully integrated in with the game. While I had fun with Black Ops 6 initially, I kind of got bored of it, and when Warzone launched, it was in a terrible state. From my understanding, it still is. So it kind of began as okay, well, let me go ahead and check out Fortnite then. That's another battle royale. It's very popular, but I never gave the game a shot. I never tried it in the past. To me, and this is probably terrible to say, but I just wrote this game off as a game my little cousins would play and talk about and beg their parents for V-Bucks. I never took it seriously as a game that I could have fun playing or be competitive in because of the cartoony graphics and just the stigma around the game itself. And honestly, I wish I could go back in time and just slap my past self in the mouth because I have had so much fun after playing this game, and my only regret is I did not start sooner. Playing Fortnite has been a refreshing experience. It's revitalized my interest in competitive games. It's made the Battle Royale genre feel exciting to me for the first time in many, many years. And I am just so thankful that I took the time to actually play the game and that I have been able to interact with so many people in the community who have all been just fantastic. I know every fan base has their weirdos, but I honestly have had so many good interactions, and I just want to thank you all so much for that. There's a lot to talk about, so I don't want to wax too poetically about my experience. Let's go ahead and focus in on the actual Chapter 6, Season 1, and get my thoughts on everything. Now, while I did spend a lot of time in OG, I will be kind of separating that from Chapter 6, Season 1, because it's kind of its own thing, even though it was happening at the same time. The theme of Chapter 6, Season 1 was hunters or demon hunters. The season took a lot of inspiration from Japanese mythology, with demon hunting also being a big focus. There were kind of these roaming packs of enemies that you could fight in a PvE style while doing the match. Anything from the aesthetic to the architecture was influenced by this Japanese folklore and mythology. And I know I said this in a previous video, but I'm not really somebody who was ever really drawn to Japanese mythology or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with it, it was just never my thing, it never really grabbed me. So when I decided to dive into Fortnite during this season and I saw the theme, I was a little bummed. But honestly, I got proven wrong. After spending some time in the game, I realized the vibes are immaculate. The buildings and the different kind of vistas you can see are incredible. And the game's use of color and how it kind of makes all these different areas feel distinct and they all pop in different ways. It's honestly a masterclass in game design, and I need to give epic props for it. It is great. The Chapter 6 Season 1 map feels like a real place. It feels lived in. It's interesting because even with the gritty realness of a Warzone map, that does not feel like a real place to me. It feels like a video game level. Even Apex Legends with their maps with lore behind them like Broken Moon or Storm Point, they feel very sterile to me, even though they're supposed to be living, breathing places. The island of Chapter 6 Season 1 is the first place that I've played on that I was like, yeah, this feels like a real place. It feels like a thought out biome that kind of coexists with all the different areas working together towards building this whole identity, even though each of the parts is so individualized and distinct. The POIs each have their own feel to them, they have their own distinct vibe, and I honestly don't have any specific one I don't like landing at. They each have their own charm to them, and I think maybe that's the best way I can describe the map of Chapter 6 Season 1. It is charming. There is so many great things to look at, and honestly, if you're going to have a fun time playing a game, you have to be able to play on a fun map. That is a big part that I feel like is overlooked a lot in most modern games. Going right along with the map is the different objectives you have throughout. You have these PvE experiences where you can take on roaming packs of enemies or bosses to get incredible rewards. The Night Rose boss I feel like is a little overlooked just because it is not as good as the Shogun X boss, but you can still get the Night Rose medallion and reloading your weapons and her SMG, which is a pretty nice bonus if you take the time to get it. But a lot of people really focused on the Shogun X fight on the floating islands at the very end of the game, and rightfully so. This kind of became a centralized focal point of the end game, and the Shogun X medallion was very, very sought after because it made you invisible and gave you unlimited stamina. In a season that is packed with everybody running around with a sword, having that unlimited stamina really gave you a leg up on the competition. I didn't feel like the sword usage or medallion usage was too oppressive. You could counter it pretty easily, especially if you kind of knew what to look out for or you kept an eye on your surroundings. That said, by the end of the season, it did get a little tiresome knowing that the end of any given game was going to kind of end up being the exact same every time. You kind of knew the weapons people were going to be using, you knew the specific tactics they were going to be using. A lot of endgames felt the same, and that was kind of a bummer when everything else felt so diversified and so fun, and you could try different methods and loadouts through early and mid-game. Speaking of weapons and loadouts, let's go ahead and talk about what we had on offer. A battle royale game would be nothing without its weapons, and the weapons of Chapter 6 Season 1 really gave us a distinct flavor to the season overall. The Hollow Twister AR and SMG were big standouts, especially the assault rifle. I really enjoyed that. The shotguns had some good options as well. The pump option, of course, is wonderful. The Oni shotgun was kind of unique with its long range and tight spread, especially after the buffs it got halfway through the season. However, I found myself using the auto-fire shotgun more often than anything. I was a big fan of the EVA 8 shotgun when I played Apex Legends, and the auto-fire shotgun in Fortnite really just reminded me of that. So I kind of naturally gravitated towards it. Even the pistol was a good option off of drop until you could find your ideal loadout, and that's one big thing I really enjoyed about this season is I didn't feel like there was any one weapon I would try to avoid. I wouldn't pass anything up if I saw it on the ground like I would do in Apex Legends when I see specific weapons. I just run right past them because I know I'm going to have a terrible time using them, and that is not the case in Fortnite. I can make any weapon work, and that feels great. But if you've played the season, you know that a lot of people gravitate towards one specific thing I previously mentioned, and that would be the swords. Both the Typhoon Blade and the Kinetic Blade when that was added later on in the season, but really the Typhoon Blade was the main focus. It's a wonderful weapon because of all the options it gives you for movement. It helps you run faster and makes your stamina last longer, but also just the air dashing is such a cool feeling. The rule of cool is really a big part of video games. You want to use stuff that makes you feel cool, and that blade definitely does. However, it was a way for lower skill players to kind of have an advantage in fights, especially if they caught the other player off guard and got in close. So it kind of became the easiest option for a lot of people to use, and as a result, I think they were a little overused in combat specifically. I know so many people complained about sword spam in my comments and on other posts I've seen, but I think that looking back, this will be a really big thing we remember about this season, a specific kind of signature that it had. And I wouldn't be surprised if our movement options are limited in the future if people are kind of nostalgic for this time. In terms of events, we had the weird Mariah Carey thing around Christmas that kind of only barely qualifies as an event. We also had the Godzilla collaboration, which brought the big bad lizard daddy to the game itself, and one player could go through a special portal and become him and wreak havoc on the map. I thought that was pretty fun, but it really kind of lost its luster pretty fast for me. I got really bored of fighting Godzilla, and I only got to play as him once, and I didn't really know what I was doing, so I couldn't enjoy it. It was right at the very beginning of when that update came out, so yeah, needless to say, I wasted my time trying to play as him. My footage got corrupted, so I couldn't even use it for a video, and then I never got a chance after that before the update moved on out of the game. It's great to be able to see them do these giant collabs and make them cool. I initially thought Godzilla would just be a roaming NPC that we had to fight as a lobby or something like that, but having a player control him is really awesome. I just think it could have used a little more time in the oven, maybe taken some more time to polish it up and make it a great experience, and it would have been more iconic and more fitting for the IP of Godzilla in that case, and not just something that we were like, oh yeah, that happened, I forgot about that. As of recording this, there's another live event happening in a few days over the weekend, so through the power of editing, future Haunted House will give us his thoughts on that experience, and if we were able to experience it. Take it away, future Haunted House. Whoa, it's future Haunted House from the editing side of things, coming at you from the spirit realm or whatever. I was actually able to catch the live event, even though I showed up early at first. That worked out because I was kind of able to look around and take in the setting before the actual event started. For those of you that don't know, Dago, the masked guy, was trying to open this portal thing, and there was a countdown timer, so I knew exactly when I needed to come back. I was able to come back just as the event was starting. He was trying to save his sister, who is Jade, I guess, from the spirit realm, and he was actively trying to pull her out of this portal when she got yoinked back in, and of course, Shogun X came to ruin everybody's fucking day like he always does. Now, I'll be honest, I tempered my expectations a little bit, knowing this was just a mini event, but for a mini event, these guys got pretty big, you know what I'm saying? There was a big set piece battle where Shogun X was kind of draining life force from the players watching through the portal or something, and Dago's trying to fight him off. For a moment, it looks like our masked homie is going to take the L on this one, but he takes advantage of Shogun X being distracted by giving the players the big suck and gets a nice little cheap shot in to kind of win the battle. Afterwards, Shogun X kind of explodes and the portal explodes. Dago's gone, Jade is here now, but most importantly, the mountain and surrounding area are covered in gold. There's gold coming out of the spirit realm onto the island, setting up, of course, the kind of heist theme of the next season. There's going to be a lot of people trying to get this gold, so overall very impressed, especially since my expectations were kind of tempered. Be sure to let me know what you thought of the live event in the comments below. But that's enough from me. Time to go back to past Haunted House so we can wrap this thing up. Wow, that was great, future Haunted House. Thank you so much for that great insight. Overall, the gameplay loop felt great for Chapter 6 Season 1. There was a great rhythm to each game, and you could start at any POI with any loadout and have a fighting chance. Everybody eventually gravitates towards their specific loadouts, and you can grab all the boons from the different sprites throughout the map and really make yourself into this powerful, unstoppable force by the time you get to endgame. Add on that the medallions from the bosses, and you get some pretty powerful advantages over your other players if you're able to play effectively and efficiently. I think this season was a great opportunity for players to be able to feel like they could control the flow of their character throughout the match. They could get their loadouts they liked, they could get the powers they liked, and they were able to set themselves up and move to the end zone quick with the movement options so that they were able to have the best advantages and try to win. I love that much player agency, but unfortunately along with that comes the reality that a lot of players are going to choose to play the same. You saw a lot of optimized loadouts, a lot of optimized routes through different PvE bosses to get specific medallions and get to specific locations with specific movement items. I love the choice, but it felt like everything was super optimized, so you only saw the same like 1 or 2 loadouts by endgame each and every time. I think if Epic is able to take what they've started here and really build on it, iterate on it, and make it bigger and better, we are going to be in a wonderful place in these future seasons. As a new player, I think that Chapter 6 Season 1 Hunters was a wonderful starting point. I can definitely see myself already feeling nostalgic for this season, and it hasn't even left yet. I know everybody feels like when they started the game was the peak of the game, but I really feel thankful and blessed that I was able to pick up this game at this time, because I feel like there's no better way that I could have started this game. It was so welcoming to me, so exciting, so innovative, and I had a wonderful time. All that said, the biggest victory in my eyes with Chapter 6 Season 1 is it has gotten me so excited for the next seasons. I cannot wait for Lawless to drop and to be able to explore that and play that, and I hope you guys are excited for it too. As a content creator as well, my experience making Fortnite videos has been wonderful, but the biggest thing, the most important thing probably, is as a fan of video games, as somebody who enjoys shooters and enjoys battle royale games, I feel like I have found a new home in Fortnite, and for that I will be forever grateful. So those are my thoughts. What did you think? Make sure you let me know in the comments below. I really want to have a discussion with you guys about your experience with Chapter 6 Season 1. Make sure to make your voice heard. And like we mentioned, if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe so that you are up to date on all of our future videos. We've got some great ones planned for you. But with all that said, I'm gonna go continue my grind in OG Season 2 and get ready for Lawless. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video today. It really means a lot. And as always, make sure you eat well, stay hydrated, take care of yourself and those around you, and I'll see you in the next one, friends.